How dangerous are CFPB consent orders? This is the Mortgage Banking live stream. Welcome, this is the Mortgage Banking live stream. Today is Monday, January 11th, 2021. We're not here just to entertain you, but also to connect you with people and information, to educate. I'm Troy at Garris Horn, and today we're going to have a great show. We are going to talk about some particular items today on the politics side, on the reg side, on the biz side. But I just want to let you know that, as always, if there's any information that you want us to post here, if there's any topics that you want to address, you just let us know, and we will, to the extent that it's relevant to the mortgage banking community, which is where our focus is, then we will definitely try to get those questions answered, the information on, and try to make sure that you're connected with all the right people, all the right information. As we start off here, a couple shouts out, very special thanks to some good friends of mine. Chance Mann, thank you, Chance, very much. Happy 2021 to you. Brent Duhame over at Loan Depot. Brent, fantastic support as always. I do appreciate it. Julie Gross, Manfred Ladrón de Guevara, just so many wonderful people here that I just have to say happy 2021 to you all. Hope you're starting it off with a bang and everything is going well. We do appreciate it. One other note is we are hiring. I mentioned this in the last stream as well, but we at Garris Horn are hiring. We're always looking for good attorneys, some good compliance people as well, and even some partnership level people if it's the right person. If you have interest there. Now, if you work for a client, can't help you. But if you know somebody out there or have interest, we are definitely looking for sharp, focused, and dedicated people. And we have some need there. So if you have some interest, give us a shout. You can text me, you can contact me, and through email or text. My contact information is on the YouTube live stream channel in the description below, and just reach out to me. Politics, Washington as usual. There is a lot of noise, of course, in this change of administrations. There has been a lot of problems. It just seems to be getting louder and louder. Here's one thing that I am very happy about, and everybody saw the unfortunate events last week. The news plays it up, of course. Some people lost their lives, so we got to take this very seriously, and we should keep those people in particular to their families in our thoughts. But one thing that I'm very proud about is the American system. For all of its bad points and all of its good points, the American system is strong, very strong, and people talk every time about the peaceful transition of power, and it's not always clean, but what it is peaceful, and it continues. It's much stronger than any of the individuals, any of the personalities that are ever in play, and this will continue to be the case. And I do find solace, and actually I'm very proud and believe we are very fortunate in that regard. And the news media, keep this in mind, right? And I'm not talking about any particular newscaster, talking about any particular news source, whether it's on the far side of one angle, the far side of another angle, the opposite angle. It doesn't matter. Keep this in mind as you watch the news, as you listen to the information that comes out. News has one goal, one purpose in life. They tell us a lot of things about how reporters are supposed to be balanced and objective and so on. But news has one purpose: to sell you advertising. That's it. It's a business. Their business is getting people to watch or read their media, and then in turn selling advertising to people based on the numbers of people that are watching and reading. And so it gives an incentive, and I'm not saying anybody is evil or looking to do anything wrong in this regard, but it gives the incentive for all of those news sources to make whatever they put out inflammatory, controversial, etc. And that is what you have to keep in mind as you watch the various news pieces or read the various news pieces out there. Just keep all that in mind. If you want to find out the real information, go to the original source. The news itself is designed to be inflammatory so that capture your attention and catch your eye. That's it. Let's talk business for a minute. Mortgage applications are down. This is over a 2-week period. NBA tracks this information, this data, and so this is for a 2-week. Usually it's a 1-week period. This is over 2 weeks, but down 4.2% for new apps. That's a little more than usual. One might expect, given what we've seen in recent, very recent times. But I don't think it's necessarily unhealthy. It's just, it's an elongated period, and we're in this sort of funky period in terms of the end of the year, etc. And this is not necessarily bad information. Got to keep our eyes on it. Keep focused on where those numbers are going. They're trending barely down at the moment, a little bit down at the moment, but it doesn't mean it's unhealthy. Loans in forbearance, that number actually remains pretty flat, still about 5.5%. That's across all portfolios, and that remains a little stubbornly high. You might recall towards earlier, sort of mid-year last year, that number was up above 8, closing in on 9, but it has fallen. However, it seems to be bumping along at 5.5%. Now, that's a pretty big number, really, if you think about all the loans that are in all the portfolios around that are servicing and question of how many of those are in forbearance. We don't really know where that's going to come out. And so we need to make sure that we keep an eye on that as well and keep attuned to that information. There could be some good opportunities there, but there are also definitely some risks. 2 big issues on the housing front side. The home affordability, NAHB asked for a report to be done, and it put out this report on home affordability, and it lists 2 big issues in home affordability, and that's cost of construction. A lot of people who've been following this live stream know that cost of construction, in particular lumber, but also labor costs, etc., all that has been increasing in pretty substantial numbers in recent times, and so that continues to mean that the cost of building a house it's basic economics, is going to increase. In addition, inventory remains low, and so we have the issue of more people that want to buy homes than homes available, and in this case it's the new homes, but even in existing homes, the numbers of buyers far outweigh the numbers of properties that are available, and from a historic sense. And so this means that home prices generally are trending up. That means that people who are looking for more affordable homes are having difficulty finding those homes. I will also tell you that this is one of those areas that I have very dear to my heart, because I think that one of the best ways, and in fact I know this is the case, that one of the best ways for people, Americans, to build wealth, and this is at all economic levels, but it definitely includes lower economic levels. The best way to build wealth is to live in a home that you own, because in that way, instead of paying rent, so you're paying somebody else's mortgage, you're paying your own mortgage, and if nothing else, at the end of that period, you will have paid a home, and you'll have it at whatever price it was that you bought it at in the past, probably for good rates. In fact, right now the rates are amazing, and you will have the same mortgage payment, likely 20 years from now, 10 years from now, however long you keep that mortgage that you had way in the past. And when you start talking to people, especially if you go out into the areas where people are not particularly wealthy, if those people have bought their homes, their families and those people tend to be doing better. Home affordability is a big issue. We should address it. There's definitely opportunity there as well for builders, for realtors, for mortgage companies, all of those people. There's opportunity there, and you can help good people, and you can help make a good living for yourself as well. Let's switch now for a moment to the regulatory front. And as people know, I work in a law firm and I do a lot of work on the regulatory side. I do a lot of other things too, but especially on the regulatory side, let's focus for a moment and ask the question, how dangerous are CFPB consent orders? And this is true for all consent orders, really. FTC does similar orders, the Federal Trade Commission does some similar orders, but also for other types of consent orders or settlements. There is one facet that people don't really seem to focus on very much, but it keeps coming back to bite people. CFPB has been around now for a number of years, and at this point they've been through a lot of different consent orders, and some of those are actually pretty old. Well, the CFPB in its typical consent order it will settle with the company or the individuals or whoever is involved with regard to monetary, with regard to dollars typically. It will also settle with regard to making statements about what the CFPB views as not acceptable behaviors and activities typically. But in addition, there's always a component of the CFPB CFPB consent orders that the CFPB wants to get into its orders, and that is an agreement to comply going forward with a variety of different laws and requirements and standards and production of data and reports and submissions of information that the CFPB tries to get into its consent orders. And it stands firm in a lot of ways whenever it's dealing with a consent order or a settlement in this regard. My firm is involved in a lot of these, has been over the years, and if somebody comes in and they're forced with the question of whether you want to settle a matter, even if you don't agree, even if you think you've done nothing wrong, whether you want to settle a matter or you want to fight and try to fight the resources that the CFPB can bring to bear, it's a very difficult decision. But people think a lot of times, well, if I just settle, it'll put the matter behind me. I can focus on doing good business going forward and assume that it's done. But it's not done, because in these consent orders, typically there's at least a 5-year agreement that the company will continue to abide by certain requirements. In fact, a lot of times the requirements are not even built into law. So the CFPB will say, well, you agree to comply with applicable law. Well, you got to do that anyway. But now you're agreeing in a contract with a government agency that's saying it can come back to you if it turns out that it second guesses you in the future, whether you're complying with applicable law or not. But also with regard to various standards of whether that the CFPB wants to impose on you for what it believes you should be doing in order to take care of past alleged transgressions. So in the sense that the companies are entering, or again, it could be individuals even entering these agreements, you really got to think very carefully about what that means for your future activities. Because if you agree to do one thing and then you don't do that, the CFPB definitely can and has shown reluctance, or has shown a need to or a desire to come back to people and go to them and talk about, well, you promised to do X, you didn't do X, and so now we're going to have yet another consent order. The reason I bring this up, it happened several times during the course of the last calendar year, and there was one right at the end of the year. It wasn't this particular one, the most recent one, wasn't even in the context of mortgage. It doesn't matter. The thing is, the CFPB builds in these requirements, and then it makes sure that it leaves open the door so it can come back if it believes that the company or the people involved are not doing the right thing. Now, I don't want to start off this 21 bashing the CFPB. In fact, a lot of friends over at the CFPB, and they're good people, and they believe they're doing the right thing. Their mission given to them by Congress is that they go out and they enforce the laws and they interpret the laws in a way that protects consumer finance, And that's what their mission, that's their jobs, right? But they don't always necessarily understand the way that your jobs work, and they don't always understand the way that your companies work and the business works, and so there's a disconnect there sometimes. But I will say that it is an area that you definitely need to keep in mind if you are in fact entering into a consent order, and also to make sure that you think about that early on as part of your strategy. CFPB just last week put out also a report. And the CFPB has this task force that it set about to defining how changes to the consumer finance laws should be implemented, and ideas for making the marketplace better for financial services for consumers. And it put out this report. The report gives a lot of different recommendations, actually over 100 recommendations to the CFPB, to other regulators, both federal, state levels, to Congress, things that this task force believes could help the marketplace. And it focused on, sort of, as the CFPB described it, 5 interrelated principles, including consumer protection, of course, first, right? But information and education, that's a big area that really our country has not done a very good job about, but there's a lot of opportunity there, and we can help a lot of people by better informing them, better educating them. That's part of the reason for this live stream, in fact. Competition, innovation, how to create competition, how to create innovation in the financial services, regulatory modernization and flexibility, inclusion and access. All of these are included in that report that came out from this CFPB task force. And so you should take a look at that. If you don't have a copy or can't quickly get a copy, let me know, and I will definitely send you over the information, and we can chat about it if you like. Any of those ideas, like I say, it's over 100 recommendations. I won't go through them all here, but it's some that would not surprise you, but there are also some that would surprise you. And when you think about it, if the CFPB's task force is making these recommendations, and you look through and you try to further some of these ideas, maybe you have a friendlier regulator in the CFPB than you might otherwise, because they definitely take this type of information seriously. There's a change of administration, so we will see what happens there, but definitely something to think about. Just a business idea. Again, we're hiring. Thank you to all the support. Robin Hart, thank you. Robin, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you here. Chance Mann, I mentioned earlier. Chance is over at Black Mammogram, just a great young man, a great innovator and mover in this industry. Gabe Gonzalez, Ed Miller, just so many. Josh Pitts, Lonzo Sheffield. Lonzo, good to see you. Just so many great people that I can't say thank you enough. Thank you to all of you who watch, who participate. I'm meeting with a couple of friends that are active in the live stream here tomorrow, having a meeting, hopefully outside. Hopefully the weather's hold up, so we can have it outside on a patio somewhere, having a great time. And my best wishes go out to everybody for 2021. I'm sure you will make it a fantastic year. I know I will. And this is the Mortgage Banking live stream. I'm Troy at Garris.